What is it like in there?
At first, since I'm new to all this, so all this is new to me, it was a little uneasy because not knowing how I was gonna blend in with the other inmates, you could say. But I mean, when I came in here and I saw that it was a lot of Hispanic, I felt kind of at ease. But at the same time, I was a little on guard. Like I said, it's my first time being in a facility like this, so I was a little scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Walk me through your arrest. How did that unfold?
Well, I got pulled over because I was speeding. I think they were saying I was going 70 on a 55, which I mean, I'm guilty for that. I can admit that. And he pulls me over, and obviously he asks all the same questions: license, insurance, and registration. I told him I didn't have a license, but I did have insurance on my vehicle. And he asked me why couldn't I have a license, and I told him I was in the process of getting one. But he's like, okay, he ran me through the system. It appeared that I had a, I had a thing called driving while revoked, so that's why he arrested me. And then as soon as he arrested me, they started asking me questions about my legal status here, which I felt kind of uncomfortable, but I also feel like I needed to answer the question just to not escalate the situation anymore. So I answered the questions, and then yeah, they kept on asking me the same questions over and over and over again. So it got to the point that I got a little irritated, but I couldn't let my emotions take control because it was just going to escalate the situation farther than it needed to be.
And that entire interaction, are we talking 15 minutes, 30 minutes, I mean an hour? Like what?
No, I was there. They had me there for over 2 hours in handcuffs,
Just on
just
the
standing there.
side of the road?
Yeah.
And so you answer all these questions, you're trying to keep your cool. What happens next?
Then obviously they got a hold of ICE, and the same questions that the officers were asking me, the ICE agent was asking me over the phone. He kept asking the same question, but I knew what he was doing. He was trying to make me stumble on my answers so I can say something else that to incriminate myself. And then after he got irritated because I kept saying the same answers, he just told take me in, take me in, and just hold me in there until they came and picked me up.
So then they brought you to, you were detained, and eventually ICE comes and picks you up. What was that interaction like?
When ICE came and picked me up, that officer he was very friendly, to be honest. I wasn't expecting him to be that friendly, but he was really friendly. The whole interaction when he came and picked me up and took me to their office, it was pretty smooth. It was very nice, that agent.
At any point, once you were interacting with ICE, did they present you with options as far as what you could do next? Did they show you a sheet and say, here's where you can voluntarily depart, or here's how you can walk me through that?
They did. Yeah, they did. So I was there for a few minutes, and then the supervisor of that office came in and talked to me, and like you said, gave me those options of either voluntarily leaving the U.S. or staying and fighting for my case. But he was really aggressive in that sense. He wanted me to sign the voluntary departure.
What does aggressive look like?
Huh?
What does aggressive look like?
Just on the way that he was talking to me, like kind of like the way that he was expressing himself. He wasn't like physically aggressive or anything. It was more like the way that he was expressing himself made me feel like he was being like coming at me aggressively. If that makes sense.
So you obviously didn't sign that voluntarily.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
What was behind the decision to go ahead and move forward with actually fighting your case? Because you had to make a decision in a quick amount of time.
Yeah, I was able to to make a phone call while I was in their office, and obviously my wife told me not to sign anything. And then another thing that made my that made me not sign that sheet of paper was that I don't have any family in Mexico. All my family is here. So if they were to send me over there, I have nobody. And I've been in the US since I was 5, so I have no idea how life is in Mexico. So that was another factor that made me not sign the paper that they gave me.
And let's talk about the fact that you came in, you said at 5 years old, not 6?
5 or 6,
Okay.
around there. Yeah.
And you applied for DACA.
Yeah.
I think, you mentioned your wife, and she's a U.S. citizen, right?
Yeah, she is.
Someone might wonder, hey, he's married to a U.S. citizen. Why is he in this position? Why hasn't this been figured out? What would your response be?
My response would be that would fall on me because being an undocumented alien, as they classify you here, getting married to a U.S. citizen, there's always that thing that hangs around you that people are gonna think, oh, he's just marrying her or she's just marrying him for the papers. So that's a conversation that I had with my wife. I was like, I don't want you to think that I'm only marrying you for the papers because that's not it. So I was like, if we see that things are starting to get more rough in the aspect of all ICE and all the laws and everything, we'll start filing for paperwork. But I don't want you to ever think that I married you just for papers because that's not the reason why I married you. So then once we start seeing that things were getting a little bit more rough in the aspect of ICE and all that stuff, we start submitting that paperwork, which unfortunately it came into a standstill and haven't progressed on that.
I was going to ask how being detained has affected your ability to move through the legal process.
A lot, uh, like a lot in the sense that obviously everything takes money to get the ball rolling. If there's no money, there's nothing's gonna happen. So it affects it a lot because all that responsibility right now, all the bills that we had, all the quotas, everything is falling on my wife right now. Luckily, we had a little bit saved up, but like I said, eventually all that we had saved up is gonna dwindle, and it's gonna get to the point that we're gonna have to ask family members for help in order for us to keep this process going.
And before, used to be that people in your position, they would at least have the opportunity to have a hearing on whether or not they could be out on bond. And it seems like with the time that you got arrested, detained, and all that came after this policy change where that's no longer on the table. How does it feel to know that maybe had this happened a month prior, or you don't want it to happen at all, but that there could have been a version of this where you would be able to do this from the outside? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I thought about that, and that would have changed obviously significantly. Like the whole situation would have completely changed, and the aspect that I would still be able to work and have the ability to pay for everything to get it done faster. And then obviously it wouldn't, all the stress that my wife is feeling right now and my family members are feeling right now, it wouldn't be there. It would just everything would fall on me, which I'm okay with that. I'm used to being in very pressure, you could say, in very pressure situations. I've dealt with that since I was very young. So the less stress that I can put on my wife or my family, the better. I can handle the stress and everything by myself, but I know that if I ever need them, they're willing to help me. So it would have changed the whole situation dramatically if I would have been detained a few weeks prior to right now.
There are attorneys, advocates who argue that a policy change like this is infringing on due process, like your ability to go through proceedings like in the way that it should happen. And based on what you've explained to me with your story, it's like you got arrested and you got your call, you were able to get connected to it. It seemed like you had, clearly you have an attorney, not everybody has representation. um,
Mm-hmm.
you are making your way through proceedings, but with help on the outside, really being able to get that done. So I'm spelling all that out to ask you, how much does that ring true for you, that you feel like I am getting due process in this, or I am not getting due process in this?
I feel like I am. I am getting. I am gonna get. At the end of all this, I am gonna get the outcome that I'm looking for. Just because of all the support and especially my lawyer. So I feel really confident that at the end of this, the outcome's gonna be what I expected to be, and that's me walking out of here and being able to see my family again and hold my wife again.